This is the latest project from writer-director Jay Blakeson, but his name didn't ring any bells for me. However, turns out I have seen some of his work. He directed that Gunpowder series for HBO, which wasn't great, and he also has a writing credit on The Descent Part 2, which also wasn't great. So from that perspective, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, to be completely honest. However, something about this still spoke to me and looked compelling. And I think the main reason for that was probably Rosamund Pike, because I'm a big fan of hers and I think she's a pretty phenomenal actor. But she's also an actor that's way better than the movies she's usually in. Because when I go through her filmography, there's not that many great movies in there. Most of the stuff is just kinda bland, but when she gets a great role, she usually nails it. And I think she did a very good job with this one, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, what immediately caught my attention was the very unique premise. It's an idea I've never seen explored before, and that got me excited. And the idea here is that Rosamund Pike plays a professional guardian. Someone who the state appoints as a guardian to people who are deemed unfit to take care of themselves. And in this case, that's primarily elderly people, and of course this is a business ripe for exploitation. And the main character here is a pretty unscrupulous one, but also someone who doesn't mess around. She's very ambitious, completely ruthless, and yeah, really just doesn't mess around. And as despicable as she is and as disgusting the way she operates is, the way the movie handles it, it still manages to make it funny as well. Because yeah, in many ways this is very much a comedy, and I thought it was well executed. I liked the overall tone of it, and for the most part I really liked the story as well. And I would say that the writing was without a doubt a lot stronger than I expected. In fact, besides some of the performances, the writing was probably my favorite part. And it made for a few really excellent scenes here and there too. Like the scene in her office where she meets with the lawyer played by Chris Messina. I mean, probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. I thought it was just brilliant. And that one was also immediately followed up by my second favorite scene, where she meets with this elderly woman living in an assisted living facility. Those two scenes back to back were just perfection, this movie firing on all cylinders. Now unfortunately the whole movie wasn't as good as that, in fact it did feel a bit uneven sometimes, because there are parts that just felt a bit goofy where the tone didn't feel quite as consistent. Although I don't think that really had that much of an impact on the movie as a whole. What did have an impact though was the third act, where it started to kind of fall apart to some extent. And that's just a very common problem with a lot of movies, they struggle to wrap it up. This one though clearly knew where it wanted to go, where it wanted to end up. And I very much liked where it ended up, but how it got there did feel a tad bit cheap. There were a couple of things that just felt way too convenient and a little bit sloppy, and that did bother me. However, as I said, I did like where it went with the story, so I kinda forgive it for taking a few shortcuts. And the very end was pretty much perfect too, it just brought everything full circle and I appreciated that. So you know, I don't think this was perfect, it had a few obvious issues that stood out, but I did still really enjoy it and thought it was a very well made movie overall. And I think that does mean I'll have to give it a high 7. Boop. However, would I recommend it? Yeah, if you like dark comedy, I'd definitely say check it out, and if you don't, maybe skip it. Or do whatever your heart desires, after all, I'm not your court-appointed guardian. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic.